Theoretical physicist Freeman Dyson once remarked that technology must be guided and driven by ethics if it is to do more than provide new toys for the rich. While we often celebrate the awe-inspiring technological advancements that have come to dominate much of our lives, it's easy to look past the need to instate sound moral guidelines in the automated, data-driven world we live in. Indeed, Dyson's clever nod to the ethical ramifications of tech lends itself quite well to the subject of this video: ethical hacking. Originally coined in the 1960s, the term hacker has become almost synonymous with malintent and mischief. That age-old image of a masked figure illuminated by green light, typing away furiously at their computer screen and chuckling in delight, is all too recognizable nowadays. Globally, a staggering 30,000 websites are hacked daily, and every 39 seconds, there is a new malware attack somewhere on the web. But these under-the-radar activities have a far more devastating long-term impact. The cost of cyber attacks could rise to nearly $8 trillion annually by the end of 2022, and in 2021, internet criminals targeted an overwhelming 42% of small businesses. What may seem like a far-fetched, overhyped phenomena is a real possibility. From improving an organization's infrastructure to upgrading the quality of commonly used mobile applications, enhancing our security footprint is more critical than ever before. So, throughout this video, I will aim to deep dive into the fascinating realm of ethical hacking, explore its fundamental approach, and highlight its intriguing applications to the modern day. Well, without further ado, let's get started. By definition, ethical hacking is an authorized practice of detecting vulnerabilities in an application and bypassing system security to identify potential data breaches and threats in a network. Simply put, ethical hackers aim to identify weak points within a system architecture that would otherwise be taken advantage of. Ultimately, by characterizing these undetected deficiencies and weaknesses, ethical hacking enables rigorous retesting to ensure that such vulnerabilities are protected against in the future. Consider it a fancy variant of the old saying, "It takes a thief to catch a thief." Now that we have a sound understanding of ethical hacking and its overarching purpose, what exactly do these cybersecurity detectives search for? Well, there exists a group of 4 key vulnerabilities that I think are super important to highlight. The first is an injection attack, where an attacker injects code into a program or query to execute remote commands that can ultimately read or modify a database, change sensitive data on a website, and lead to other unintended consequences. These brutal security breaches can have a range of implications, from full web server compromises to significant losses in data integrity. The next type of vulnerability is known as broken authentication. When attackers are able to compromise passwords, keys, user account information, and other important details, authentication is effectively broken. Such vulnerabilities have become increasingly common, especially since hackers only need to gain access to a few administrator accounts to successfully carry out their agenda. The following type of vulnerability that we'll be discussing is security misconfiguration, which often arises as a result of configuration weaknesses that might exist in software subsystems and components. These weaknesses then give attackers unauthorized access to system data and functionality. And finally, the last type of vulnerability that's really important to know is sensitive data exposure. Perhaps one of the more intuitive vulnerabilities, sensitive data exposure occurs in instances where a web application does not adequately protect private information from being disclosed to hackers. This can include credit card data, medical history, session tokens, and other authorization credentials. Aside from the various problems and shortcomings that ethical hacking is used to identify, its inspiring real-life applications are also worth noting. In early 2019, French security researcher Elliot Alderson found a vulnerability in a WordPress social network plugin that leaked the Twitter account information of users. Later that year, Leigh Ann Galloway and Tim Unisov, two cybersecurity specialists from Positive Technologies, unearthed critical flaws in Visa contactless cards that allowed hackers to easily bypass payment limits. Over at Google, vulnerability researcher Tavis Ormandy discovered a security issue in SymCrypt, the core cryptographic library for Windows. But that's not all. This weak point was ultimately found to be capable of taking down an entire Windows fleet in a relatively short amount of time. So, it is increasingly apparent that ethical hacking is not only a creative means of highlighting hidden imperfections within intimidating systems and networks, but also serves as an invaluable asset to the cybersecurity ecosystem. After all, even the smallest of gaps can lead to disastrous compromises across entire organizations. It's always helpful to have a safety net. Well, I hope you enjoyed and learned a thing or two from this in-depth look at ethical hacking. If you did, feel free to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below with any ideas or opinions of your own. With that all aside, take care, have a great day, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.